The gym was supposed to be my sanctuary. A place where sweat could rinse away the noise of everything else, the unspoken words, the quiet dinners, the steady hum of a marriage that had lost its rhythm. Each morning, I watched my reflection in the mirror, not searching for progress, but for proof that I still existed somewhere beneath the routine that my name is Ethan, and 3 years ago I married Daniel, a man I loved, still love, but not in the same effortless way as before. Love used to feel light between us, like a secret we carried proudly. Now, it felt more like a responsibility, a steady heartbeat without warmth. Daniel worked long hours as an architect, often coming home with eyes too tired to meet mine. Our conversations had thinned into the essentials: bills, groceries, the weather. Intimacy had become an old photograph, familiar, but no longer alive that I didn't go to the gym to change my body. I went to escape the silence. The place smelled of metal, soap, and effort. Machines clanked in rhythm with a kind of lonely determination. I'd slip in my headphones, turn up the music, and drown the day before it began. One evening, after another uneventful day at the office, I noticed someone new behind the counter, Luca. He was laughing with a client, the kind of laugh that filled the air without asking permission. He had an easy posture, confident but not arrogant, the kind of presence that seemed to brighten the dull fluorescent light around him. When he caught me looking, he nodded in greeting, casual, warm, and went back to adjusting someone's posture on the weight machine that I told myself it was nothing. Trainers came and went. People smiled. That was their job. But something about the way he moved, deliberate yet effortless, stayed with me longer than it should have. The next morning, he introduced himself properly. "You've been here a lot lately," he said, holding out a hand. "I'm Luca." "Ethan," I replied, shaking it, surprised at how firm his grip was. He looked at my form as I lifted a dumbbell. "Your technique's good," he said, "but your shoulders are tense. Try breathing through the motion, not against it." I laughed softly. "You sound like a yoga instructor." He grinned. "Maybe I am, on the inside." There was nothing flirtatious in his tone, just kindness, perhaps curiosity. Still, the ease of it unsettled me. I wasn't used to being noticed anymore, not like that. At home, Daniel rarely looked up from his laptop long enough to ask how my day went. I'd stopped expecting him to. As days passed, our encounters became routine, a nod here, a comment there. He'd offer adjustments to my form, and I'd find myself trying harder, not for strength, but for approval. He had that kind of energy that made you want to match it. One Thursday evening, when the gym was nearly empty, he stopped beside me mid-set. "You've got good discipline," he said, "but you push like you're punishing yourself." The words caught me off guard. "Maybe I am," I said before I could stop myself. He tilted his head, studying me, not like a trainer assessing a client, but like someone reading a story they didn't expect to find interesting. Then he nodded slowly. "Pain makes people stronger, but only if they know what it's for." I didn't respond. Instead, I picked up my towel and muttered something about finishing my reps, but his words followed me home, echoing louder than Daniel's quiet "hey" when I walked through the door. We ate dinner in silence. Daniel told me about a project deadline, and I listened, nodding, pretending to care. I watched him, the familiar curve of his jaw, the steady rhythm of his speech, everything that once grounded me. But the warmth wasn't there. Somewhere between comfort and distance, love had fallen asleep. Later that night, as I lay beside him, I thought about the gym, about Luca's laugh, his easy honesty. It wasn't attraction, not yet. It was something smaller, quieter, recognition. Someone had looked at me and seen more than the shape of my body. They'd seen the tension I tried to hide. Before sleep took me, I promised myself it was nothing. Just a conversation. Just a stranger being kind, but deep down, I knew better. It started as a simple workout, a way to fill the silence that I just didn't realize something else had already begun to fill me. The weeks that followed blurred into a rhythm: work, home, gym, repeat. Yet something small had changed, almost imperceptibly. The air between me and Luca carried a quiet awareness, like a note held just long enough to make you wonder if it was intentional that he greeted me every session with the same casual warmth, never overstepping, never making me feel watched, but I was aware of him now, always. His laughter would echo across the floor, and even if I wasn't the one who caused it, I felt it ripple through me. I caught myself looking for him before I started a set, waiting for that nod that somehow grounded me more than the weights ever did. One rainy afternoon, the gym was nearly empty. The hum of treadmills replaced conversation. I was stretching when Luca came over, towel slung around his neck. "You've been consistent," he said, smiling. "Most people fade after a month." "Maybe I don't know how to quit," I replied, half joking that he chuckled. "Or maybe you're chasing something you haven't named yet." His words hit deeper than I wanted to admit. I turned away, pretending to adjust my earbuds. But he wasn't wrong. I wasn't chasing muscle or endurance. I was chasing feeling, any feeling. That night, at home, Daniel noticed my lighter mood. "You seem better," he said, passing me a glass of wine. "Just exercising more," I said. That he smiled faintly, like he wanted to believe it. The TV flickered between us, casting colors over our tired faces. We talked about groceries and his project deadline, but I could feel the distance pulsing quietly under the small talk. We had learned how to live beside each other, not with each other. And that was the most dangerous kind of peace, the kind that makes you forget you're lonely. Days turned into weeks, and Luca became more than a presence, he became a rhythm of his own in my day. We'd talk between sets about small things, music, travel, the absurdity of London rent. He'd ask questions like he genuinely cared, not just filling silence but listening, always listening. One evening, he asked, "You ever stay late after closing? Feels different when the place is quiet." I hesitated. "Never thought about it." "Stay tonight," he said. "I'll finish my shift, and we'll grab coffee after. No pressure." It sounded harmless. Friendly. But something in his tone, or maybe in me, made it feel like a decision. That we sat at a corner cafe across the street, the kind of place that smelled like cinnamon and rain. Conversation flowed too easily. He told me about his family in Italy, his move to London, the loneliness that came with it. I told him about Daniel, not the fights or the silences, just the version of us that used to laugh more. When I mentioned my marriage, he didn't flinch or pull away. He just nodded thoughtfully. "Love changes," he said. "Sometimes it grows quiet, but that doesn't mean it dies." I stared into my cup, unsure whether to feel comforted or exposed. That we talked until the cafe lights dimmed. When he walked me out, we stood by the rain-slicked curb in silence, the kind of silence that doesn't need filling. I thanked him for the coffee. He smiled. "Anytime, Ethan." At home, Daniel was already asleep. I lay beside him, his breathing steady, familiar, yet impossibly far away. I told myself nothing had happened, and it hadn't, not really. But there was something undeniably different inside me. Over the next few days, I tried to keep my distance. I trained at different hours, avoided his shifts. It worked, until it didn't. One Friday, I found Luca waiting near the squat racks, a towel in hand. "Hey," he said softly, "did I say something wrong?" I shook my head, laughing it off. "No, just busy." He studied me for a moment, then smiled, small, understanding. "All right. Just don't disappear completely." Something in his voice cracked my resolve. We trained together again, and the rhythm returned, heavier now, edged with something neither of us named. At the end of the session, he helped me stretch, his hands steady against my shoulders. The touch was professional, careful, but the air thickened anyway. My breath caught, so did his. For a heartbeat, the world held still. That I stood up quickly, stepping back. "I should go." "Ethan," his voice barely rose above a whisper, "I'm married," I said, forcing a smile. "I can't." He nodded, eyes soft but unwavering. "I know." That night, I stared at the ceiling until dawn. My phone lit up once, a message from Luca, "Good night." That's all. That I didn't reply. But my chest ached with everything. I didn't say that IT wasn't love, not yet, but it was no longer just a workout. The next week, London felt colder than usual. The kind of damp chill that seeps beneath your skin and lingers. I hadn't seen Luca in days, though part of me had arranged my schedule hoping I might. The silence between us was heavier than any workout I'd done. When I finally walked into the gym on Friday evening, he was there, leaning against the counter, talking to another trainer. Our eyes met, and the noise of the room seemed to fade. He didn't smile this time, just nodded, the gesture small but enough to pull me toward him. After a few sets, he came over. "You've been avoiding me," he said quietly. "I've been busy," I lied, eyes fixed on the mirror. "Right," he replied, but there was no accusation in his tone, only fatigue. Then, after a pause, "Stay a bit after you're done." I should have said no. I knew I should. But something in his voice sounded like a question he couldn't ask twice. So I nodded. By the time the last member left, the gym had emptied into a hush. Only the soft hum of the air conditioner and the rain tapping against the glass filled the space. Luca locked the door and turned off most of the lights, leaving a dim golden glow around us. He didn't move closer right away. He just stood there, watching me with a kind of quiet restraint that made my chest tighten. "You don't have to stay," he said. "I know. I could have left. I should have. Instead," I said, "I wanted to talk." We sat on the edge of the mats, the air thick with unsaid things. "I never meant for this to get confusing," I started. He laughed under his breath. "Neither did I. But you're easy to care about, Ethan." The simplicity of his words broke something open inside me. For months, I had been living in a home where affection had turned into routine, and now, in this quiet, someone was reminding me what it felt like to be seen. I looked at him, really looked. His eyes weren't daring or demanding, they were simply honest. "Does he make you happy?" he asked. The question hurt more than I expected. "He used to," I whispered. "We used to make sense." Luca nodded slowly. "And now?" "I don't know," I said, the words trembling out of me. He reached out, hesitated, then touched my hand. A small gesture, nothing more than fingers brushing skin, yet it felt like the room tilted. I didn't pull away. Neither did he. The silence stretched between us, filled with everything both of us had tried to deny. Then he leaned in, not suddenly, not boldly, just enough that I could feel his breath near my cheek. I didn't move, couldn't. The world had narrowed to that one impossible second. When our lips met, it wasn't passionate or rehearsed, it was quiet, uncertain, almost fragile. But it was real. Too real. It lasted only a heartbeat before I broke away, my chest heaving. "I can't," I said. He nodded, his expression unreadable. "I know." We sat in silence again, the rain filling the room with its steady rhythm. When I finally stood, my voice shook. "This never happened." He didn't argue. "Take care of yourself, Ethan," he said, and for the first time, he used my name like a goodbye. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, the dim light, the look in his eyes before I left. Guilt wrapped around me like a second skin. The next morning, Daniel noticed. "You look exhausted," he said over breakfast. "I didn't sleep well," I murmured, staring at my coffee. He reached for my hand, the gesture automatic but gentle. "You've been distant lately," he said softly. "Is something wrong?" The question tore through me. For a long moment, I said nothing. Then I heard myself whisper, "I made a mistake." Daniel's face changed, the stillness between us turning sharp. "What kind of mistake?" The truth left my mouth before I could stop it. "There's someone from the gym." It happened once. It shouldn't have. He didn't speak. He just looked at me, eyes heavy with disbelief and hurt. When he finally did, his voice was almost calm. "Do you love him?" "No," I said quickly. I wanted to feel something again." Daniel stood, the sound of his chair scraping against the floor cutting through the quiet. "Then maybe we both forgot what love is supposed to feel like," he said, and walked away. Days passed in silence. I packed a bag and stayed with a friend, unable to face the echo of what I'd broken. Eventually, I returned to the gym. Luca wasn't there. Someone said he transferred to another branch. I didn't ask where that as I stood before the mirror again. The room looked the same, but I wasn't that. It started as a simple workout, a way to find myself. Instead, it revealed everything I'd lost, and everything I still didn't understand about love.